Hey there. Welcome back to the podcast. Today's episode, I'm going to teach you the 3 steps, the kind of 3 pillars that my clients learn their first week of working with me that allows them to lose 5 pounds in 1 week. It's 100% doable. It's really the magic of my program of teaching you to tap back in to your body and use your body's innate ability to self-regulate. This is really what brain wiring is all about, and it's really the beauty of it is that we don't use the typical emotions that diets use to help you lose weight. So typically, if you're starting a diet, initially you might feel a lot of motivation and excitement, but pretty quickly you have to switch over into willpower, deprivation, restriction, pressure, kind of forcing yourself to fit into this box so that you can lose weight. And most of my clients come to me having done a lot of that. They've spent every bit of their weight loss life doing those things. They're at their wit's end. Those things don't work. They're exhausting and they just don't want to do that anymore. And I teach them how to really use the power of their own brain and their body's innate ability to lose weight. And we can do it really quickly. Does not have to take a long time. And it also doesn't have to be this struggle where you're like pushing yourself to do it and your brain is like pushing back and you're just kind of in this like tug of war where you're like forcing yourself to eat these foods or to not eat these foods and your brain's like throwing a fit in response, and it's just this like not fun experience. There is this place where everything kind of works together. Your brain is on board and you're able to tap into your body and really use your own body's and your own brain's ability to weigh what it wants to weigh, what it needs to weigh. That exists within every one of us, but society, like so many things in our lives take us out of that. And it's so interesting. And I will do a lot more podcasts on that specifically. But today we're just going to talk about the three things that are going to allow you to lose 5 pounds in 1 week. These are essentials. These are the things that my clients, they learn them their first week and then they repeat them every single week after that. These are the basics, the pillars of weight loss, of wiring your brain, of tapping into your body. So, they're pretty simple. And I find that most people in their first week, this makes a lot of sense. There's not a lot of questions around it. It's like, oh yeah, like this totally makes sense. This is totally something, this isn't new and foreign. This is like something I've done before. I just forgot about it. That's what everything in this process feels like, is like, oh, I know this. I just forgot. I just haven't done it in a while. It's so interesting. So it's really, again, we're just getting back to like your roots, where your brain and your body came from in terms of self-regulating and weighing like what your body is intended to weigh. So, all right, let's get into it. So step 1, the first step in this process is really tapping into your cognitive brain. You're going to hear me talk about the cognitive versus the primitive brain on this podcast a lot. I talk to my clients a lot about it. We have a lot of modules that go over this. It's really important for you to understand what is going on in your brain all of the time, and especially when you're trying to lose weight, a lot of times we feel like there's two voices going on, kind of the angel and the devil. It's not always like that, but it's not always that like strong dichotomy, but a lot of times we feel like there's like two voices, and there actually are. This is a real thing. It's not, you're not crazy. There's kind of two parts of your brain. There is the primitive brain. This is the part of your brain that you have in common with the rest of the animal kingdom. It's very basic. It is pain and pleasure based. It wants to get out of pain and into pleasure. And I like to say anyone who has a weight issue, their primitive brain has connected getting into pleasure with eating food. So when you are looking to get out of pain, when you're looking for some pleasure, your primitive brain is going to be suggesting food. Some brains suggest gambling or shopping. You know, it can be other things, but if you have a weight issue, if you're like probably, I don't know, 80%, 90% of Americans who are struggling with their weight, it's doing the same thing. Your primitive brain's like, I know what will fix this, a snack. Guess what? We are being bombarded with it like all day long. It's always present in front of us, the suggestion to eat this like highly craveable and highly addictive food. So anyways, that's the primitive brain. The cognitive brain, this is the human part of your brain. This is the developed part of your brain. It's what separates us from the rest of the animals. It allows us to set goals, to look into the future. It's the part of your brain that wants to lose weight. It's the part of your brain that is wanting to listen to this podcast. It's the reason that you are here with me right now. And that part of your brain wants the best for you. It wants you to weigh what you want to weigh. It wants to wake up in the morning and go into your closet and be really excited to get dressed and feel really good about what you're seeing in the mirror. And what we're doing for the majority of our day is using our primitive brain to make food decisions. That is like the toddler of our brain. The primitive brain wants what it wants when it wants it, and it's going to throw a fit if it doesn't get it. And we cannot use that part of our brain if we want to lose weight. If that part of our brain's making our food decisions when we're trying to lose weight, we're not going to get very far. So what I teach my clients is to understand the difference between these two and to really learn how to tap into this cognitive part, this human part, to make food decisions. So, how we tap into that cognitive part of our brain is by planning. The primitive brain doesn't really plan. It doesn't connect with that in any way. It's more like in the moment. The cognitive brain is the part of our brain that looks ahead. It looks into the future and it says, I want to make this decision because this is the best decision for me. This decision is going to help me lose weight. It's going to help me feel really good throughout the day. It's going to give me more energy. It's not the highly pleasurable decision. It's not the Cheetos and cookies for lunch decision. It's the decision that is going to make me feel good, help me get through my day with energy, and help me ultimately lose weight. So we have to utilize that part of our brain to make our food decisions if we want to be successful. And this switch, this simple change of you like tapping back into our cognitive brain to decide what we're going to eat is really the difference. Diets don't teach you this. They don't make any sort of separation. They give you a list of foods that you can and can't eat. And then you're kind of left on your own to manage your primitive brain when it freaks out because you have a salad for lunch and there's cookies in the break room. So those challenges aren't like that real brain struggle is not addressed by a list of foods. We have to actually go in, take a look at the brain and figure out how to best mitigate and utilize our brain to our advantage. And the best way to do that is to give our cognitive brain power of planning. Here you go, cognitive brain. You are going to decide what we're going to eat. So that is literally what my clients do. They plan ahead. They decide ahead of time, this is what I'm going to eat for today. It's really simple, you guys. So we're going to make our food decisions ahead of time. And what this does is in the moment, so we write all of this down. We write down, this is what I'm going to have at lunch. This is what I'm going to have at dinner. And then in the moment, when we're there at lunch and we have our meal that we know we've planned ahead, we know it's going to help us feel good for the rest of the day. We know it's going to ultimately serve our goal, our weight loss goal. And then when our brain pops up and says, yeah, but there's cookies too. Why don't we have a cookie? Now we can separate the two parts of our brain out. We can say, okay, that is my primitive brain talking to me. And this is hugely important. This is going to serve you on your weight loss journey for the rest of your journey. Being able to decipher when it's your cognitive brain, which has your best interest in mind, and when it's your primitive brain just throwing out like, we should just eat it. This is, it's going to be great. It's not going to have any effect on your weight loss goals, which is, it will literally tell you whatever it thinks you want to hear in order to get that cookie in your mouth. When we can separate those two, we have all the power. All of a sudden, we are in control. We take the control back instead of being controlled. Because in the diet scenario, when we're in that situation and we've got our meal that our diet told us we could eat, and our brain's like, yeah, but there's cookies, we really don't know how to handle it. There's no separation between, okay, this is what's going to serve me and this is what's not going to serve me. And this is just my primitive brain over here throwing a fit. We are like, yeah, you're right, I do want cookies. Oh my God, what do I do? And it just turns into this kind of like panic, fear. We'll use willpower and pressure to like push that desire away, to restrict ourselves, to say we're not going to have the cookie. And that does not feel good. And it doesn't work long term. It works that first week. It works the first couple of days. And then we can't keep it up anymore. We lose that ability to use willpower. We run out. But when you can sit there and say, this is my primitive brain throwing a tantrum, and I know how to handle this. I know exactly what's going on. I know exactly how to deal with this. Everything changes. You have control. Cognitive brain is in control. You're not any longer being controlled by your primitive brain. It's so powerful. And the other thing that this planning ahead allows you to do is kind of forget about making food decisions. You've already decided. You don't have to spend your day thinking about, oh my God, what am I going to have? I could have a salad, but I could also have nachos. Nachos sound pretty good. I don't know. Not really sure. That could be great. I could love nachos. I can get on board with, it's this constant debate. Basically, between your cognitive and your primitive brain, you just aren't aware of what's going on. Your primitive brain's just over there knowing that you have not made any choices for today. So it's just going to try to get you to eat what it wants, which is something that's highly pleasurable and is going to give it the maximum amount of dopamine. That's what the primitive brain wants. It wants that dopamine hit, and it will do whatever it needs to do in order to persuade you to give it to it. It's like a toddler. It's like literally the same. So when we have planned ahead, we have the ability to just forget about it. To just not have to think about what we're going to be eating today. I already know what I'm eating today. There's no question marks. There's no negotiating. There's no, maybe I'll have the thing. No, it's just like, I've already decided. I get to forget about it and move on. And actually, if you go to my website, I put up a bunch of testimonials, and a lot of them are talking about this. Like, I lost 4 pounds my first week. Oh my God, I completely forgot about food. I haven't thought about food. Like, people who have been obsessing about it for years and thinking about it, and like every day is spent thinking about, what am I going to eat? What am I not going to eat? How am I going to prevent myself from eating the thing? How can I avoid the thing? What events do I need to skip in order to avoid the thing? Well, I can't drive by that restaurant because then I'll want it's like, it runs our days. For some people, it like really runs the day. It's just constantly spinning there. And then you learn this process and it's like, oh yeah, just don't think about it anymore. It's so crazy. It's so interesting. So, I think it's just basically at meals.com is the homepage. And you can go read those testimonials. They're really, it's crazy, you guys, the power of this tool. So that's step number 1. Step number 2 is focusing on physical hunger over emotional hunger. And this really kind of takes us back to the primitive brain. The primitive brain is emotional hunger. That's the part of our brain that's like just telling us to eat. Yeah, you should just go ahead and have it. It's not that big of a deal. It's just one cookie. It's not going to derail your diet. It's like no thing. Just go ahead and eat it. It's okay. That's your primitive brain. That's the part of your brain that you've been listening to, that's been telling you what to eat for the last however many years. That is emotional hunger. When we're just eating because our brain's throwing it out there and we don't know how to separate from that, have control over that. Diets teach us to use willpower to have control over that. This way teaches you to really understand it, to know what's going on, so that you can have control over it. You don't have to use willpower. You don't have to force yourself, push yourself out of it and try to distract yourself from whatever your brain's telling you. You just know what it is, and you really know how to manage it. So when we can focus on physical hunger over emotional hunger, like our actual body telling us that it could use some fuel, is what allows you to use your fat for fuel. Isn't that crazy? Your body has a built-in system for burning fat. It's called physical hunger. But when emotional hunger is running your day, you're never really getting to physical hunger. So it's about separating the two, allowing that emotional hunger to kind of calm down, quiet down, and you are not eating for it anymore. That allows you to all of a sudden experience physical hunger. All of a sudden have your body turning to your fat stores for fuel, as opposed to like well, this diet says I should eat 6 times a day, so I'm just going to my next meal. Or this diet says I should have, this much chicken every day, so I'm going to eat that much chicken. I don't know if that's right for me or not. I'm not really ever getting to physical hunger before I eat. I'm just eating because this is what it says I should be doing. Or I'm just eating because that's what my brain told me would be really good. Really, really delicious. So we have to allow our bodies to get to that place of physical hunger so that we can tap into our fat stores and start utilizing those. That's what we really want. That's what all of us who are trying to lose weight really want. We want to use our fat stores for fuel. We don't want to be constantly spinning, utilizing the food that we ate for fuel. We actually don't want that because that means we're eating too much. We want to be using last week's fuel, a month ago's fuel, last year's fuel. That's what we want to be using for today. That's in our fat. That's what we want to utilize for energy and to keep us going. So this is the second piece, and it's so huge. This is where the weight really comes off, is when you can step out of emotional hunger and into physical hunger. And we have a whole couple of modules that kind of break all of this down and teach you how to do that and how to tap into that and how to kind of let go. Sometimes I have people who come in with some hunger fear. We're a little bit worried about hunger, and that's all just kind of pushed into us from the diet industry. We're taught that we need to be eating 6 times a day, that, there's nothing ever about hunger other than you're starving and it's terrible. But no one ever just says you're just going to get hungry. It's hunger is bad. You shouldn't ever feel hunger. So we kind of go into that a lot, but most of what this first week is and what these 3 pillars are about is you calm down your primitive brain, you tap into your body for the first time, and it's oh, this isn't scary. We just we aren't thinking about it so much. We just allow our body to do its thing, and we get to this place and it feels really good, and it's not scary. It's not whatever the diet industry has been telling us it will be, or Snackwells has been telling us it will be. It's not a bad thing. We're I've been here before and this feels fine. It's so interesting. Okay, so then the third piece of your 5 pounds in 1 week is learning how to stop overeating. So again, this comes back to clean your plate. Eat everything that's in front of you as fast as possible. I don't know if anybody remembers this, but the more I dive into this work, the more I kind of think back, where did all of this programming come from? How do our brains change from this innate ability to get to hunger, stop eating when we're satisfied, and to not really listen to our primitive brain in terms of it telling us just go eat the cookie? How do we move away from our body's innate ability to self-regulate and into this place where we are eating when we're not hungry, where we're overeating at every meal, where we're eating any time something tempting crosses our vision? And I go back to this memory of, it was when I first started, I guess it was preschool or kindergarten. I'm not sure which one. But, either way, you're 4 or 5 years old, really young. And I remember sitting in the cafeteria. It was my first, official lunch time. And it's 15 or 20 minutes. That could be wrong, but it's really fast. And I was used to sitting down with my food, kind of taking it all in, taking a bite, enjoying the bite, thinking about the bite, thinking about something else, taking another bite. Like, it was this slow kind of really present way of eating. And that was just my natural, innate way of eating. And so I get to school for this first lunch break, and I'm doing that. And I just remember, like, being the last person in the cafeteria, and this teacher standing there with me, like, urging me to either, like, you have to finish all of your food now or throw it away. And then if you throw it away, you might be hungry later. And it was just this urgency, like, your lunchtime is over. This meal is done, so you either have to eat it all or throw it away and risk, air quotes, really risk being hungry later on today and not having the option to eat. Which, like, what is so wrong with that? That we might experience hunger for a while without having food. But that's just that like, mentality that we get driven into us. That there is something wrong with that something could go horribly wrong if we experience hunger for a while and we don't have something to eat. And so I just remember sitting there and being like, oh my God, like, this is a huge decision. And I have no interest as a, little child to, like, shovel this food into my face. But she's also telling me that if I don't, something could go wrong. And I remember it was probably, I don't know for how long this went on, but it took me a while, like, to get to that place where I was just sitting down, eating my food as fast as I could, all of it. And then, like, so that I could be done by the time lunchtime was over. So that I could have, like, finished everything. But that's just, like, what we are, it's kind of like pushed into us, like we're forced to do this. So I got way off topic, but that comes back to, like, cleaning your plate. You have to eat everything in front of you. If you don't eat it, something is going to go terribly wrong. You're going to get hungry. You're going to have wasted it. This is, oh my gosh, you guys, I'm going to do a whole podcast on this, but this is it comes up with my clients over and over again, throwing food away. It is so hard for us to throw food away. We are taught from this young age that if you waste food, if you throw it away, you are somehow depriving someone else of a meal that they need. I'm not going to even go into it right now, but this is a whole thing, and we're so ingrained with this idea that we cannot throw food away, that there's something wrong with throwing food away. So anyways, coming back to not overeating is about slowing down, getting back to that, like, child preschool or kindergarten, whenever you start having, like, timed lunch breaks, getting back to that where you're just tasting the food. You're not aware of, like, this is how much is here and I have to eat all of it and I have to do so within a time frame. You're just taking a bite. You're tasting the bite. You're feeling how it feels in your body. You're checking into your hunger level. Like, where is it now? Where is it now? Another bite. Where is it now? And you're just stopping when you hit this satiety level that feels good. You're not eating until it's all gone. You're not eating until you feel sick. You're just stopping when it feels good for you, which is so crazy. And it's kind of the back half of weight loss, like getting to that, understanding the difference between your physical hunger and your emotional hunger is the front half. And then during/after the meal is not overeating, not eating everything that's there just because it's there. These are really the 3 steps, the 3 pieces of losing 5 pounds in 1 week. They are simple. Once you sit down and start doing this for yourself, you realize how innate this is, that this has been there all along. You've just forgotten about it. You haven't used it in a long time. So give these a try. Let me know how it goes. I would love to hear from you. Feel free to leave a review, to find me on my website, on social media, and let me know how this goes. And if you want to take this to the next level, if you really want to learn about this in depth and have me share with you exactly how to implement this into your life so that you can lose weight quickly and have it feel good, book a call with me. The calls are no obligation. The calls are how every single one of my clients has gotten into my program. I want to make sure that you are right for the program, that this program is going to serve you for your needs. So that's what the call is. Really to help you decide and help me decide if the program is right for you. So book a call. It is bit.ly/call with Hayley, Hayley. That's a bit.ly link if you're not familiar, but I will link it in the show notes, and I would love to see you there. Okay. Let me know how it goes. Bye.